Hey there, it's Kim Sorges with Not Consumed, and in today's Curriculum Spotlight, we are featuring my most favorite of our products, the Student Record and Planner. So I'm going to tell you why I love it so much, how it saves me time, how it replaces my grade book, and motivates students so that they can be responsible and independent learners. And then I'm going to show you some examples of second grade, fifth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade, and how they're filled out and all of those details. So I'm super excited about this today. I think you will be too. So let's get started a little bit on how it saves us time. So first of all, the reason this saves me so much time is because I don't use a lesson plan book anymore. So I don't know about you, but it used to be that on Sunday nights I would sit down and I would write out the whole week and I would talk about all of the things that I was going to do all week. And then on Monday I would scratch out and erase things that didn't get done. And I would move them to Tuesday. Ever been there? And then on Tuesday, I would scratch out things that didn't get done and move them to Wednesday. And by the time I got to Thursday, I was just frustrated and annoyed that we were still on lesson 5 in the math book, right? So I realized, I don't actually have to write this stuff down to know what comes next. Because if I'm doing lesson 5 for math right now, guess what we're going to do tomorrow? Lesson 6. And the next day, surprisingly, we're going to do lesson 7, right? So I realized, you know what? I don't need to do it like this. I need more of a checklist system. And that's what I devised in the Student Record and Planner. If you are familiar with it and you want to see all the cool ways that we use it, stay tuned, because at the very end of the video, I'm going to walk you through literally all 4 of my kids at different age levels, and I'm going to show you what they have done to use it. So before I show you that though, I'll show you the secret tool, and that is the weekly checklist. So I mentioned this is how I kicked the grade book out and made it so that I didn't have to do, or not the grade book, but the lesson plan book. You did get a grade book out of it. Made it so that I don't have to have Sunday night planning sessions. I don't have to sit down and realize, figure out what we're going to do all week. All I have to do is list the subjects right here in the subject section. And then we check them off each day as we do them. I'll show you how that looks as my children did it here in a little bit. And then we also have a habit section down here that we check off every day for the other stuff like quiet time, scripture memory, and personal care, because I don't know why kids need to be reminded at 15 that they need to brush their teeth, but they do. Your kids aren't alone in that. Tidy the room practice. That's for anything you need to practice. In our house, it's often the piano, but sometimes it's other things. And then read for fun. So, and then finally on this side of the checklist is the evaluation section. And in that section, we look at different attitudes and behaviors, like, shows Christian attitude and behavior, turns in quality schoolwork, shows brotherly love and affection, uses time wisely, shows initiative and independence and stuff like that. The student gets to evaluate themselves, and then the parent does the evaluation after that. So that's pretty fun too. I'm going to show you now the examples of every single page that's in here, how it works and all that good stuff. And then we will, and I'll show you each age level. So the one that I showed you before, by the way, just for reference sake, is brand new, right? Never been touched. See how lovely it is? But I actually want to show you, this is my second graders. It doesn't look that bad, does it? It can be done. So this was second grade last year. This was Luke. And the very first page is actually an all about me page. And I love this page. This is my favorite because it's something my kids started many years ago. If you haven't started it yet, you totally should. We actually have an all about me page that's in the back to school pack for free. That will be at the top of this video or underneath, depending on where you're watching, I will have a link to the free printables and more information about curriculum and stuff that we have available. In that pack is the free All About Me collection. And there happens to be an extra one of these that we fill out every year. I just think it's so important. I love having it in the book, but you know, however you have it is awesome, right? It's so much fun because the kids every year change, and it's so cool to see, you know, their friends are different colors and things about themselves and stuff like that. So that's what that page is about. We always do that the very first week of school. That's how we roll with it. But you could do it anytime. The next thing we do the first week of school is the goals page. It's the very next page. I've got these all marked. So you don't have to sit here forever for me searching. This was my 8th grader this year, and these were her goals. So there's personal goals, there's things that she'd like to do, and she has a piano goal there and a riding goal there, like horseback riding. And then there are spiritual goals, and that is, it says, have devotions for 20 minutes each day and witness to 5 people at UHC. That's the name of her co-op this year. And then her health goals, and don't eat cereal was one of them. I'm not sure. I guess she decided cereal wasn't any good for her. Be in bed by 11 o'clock. So those were her health goals, right? And then she has homeschool goals. And those would be academic things that she wants to do, finish her school by 3 o'clock on Friday and stuff like that. So if you have never done goals with your kids, you need to start. Even if you just take a piece of paper and you draw 4, boxes, personal goals, spiritual goals, health goals, and homeschool goals, and start talking with them about it. Yes, sometimes they're not as exciting and they might seem a little more shallow. We'll pull out Luke's here. When they're in, say the 2nd grade, his personal goal was to make his bed every day. And his spiritual goal was to do his front line. That's his little devotional thing that we do on Wednesday nights, kind of like Awana. And he wanted to do that every day without being reminded, right? So you see the difference between a 2nd grade goal and an 8th grade goal. That's okay. They still get, it's okay if it's not as advanced. They will get there. I promise. There's hope. He wants to eat veggies. Eat veggies every meal. Lunch and dinner. That's pretty cool, right? So, and do his school without complaining. Now, see, that's what we want everyone to do, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, moving on from there, the next page is the educational snapshot. I have the hardest time saying this. So this is one of the key pages to how we make this work when we don't have an actual lesson plan book. I list each subject there, and then I say what it is that we're using that year for the lesson. So he used math, teaching textbook 6. He used extra math. That's a website that helps practice facts. It's free. It's awesome. You should check it out. For reading, he used our reading journal, and then he was reading the Old Town Adventure series. And he did some black booking with that too. Then for language arts, he did phonetic zoo level B. He was taking IW 5 with our co-op, and then Easy Grammar 5. So you get the idea. Just whatever it was that he was using, I fill it out here. And then when we get to that checklist, I can say lesson 1, and we know that it was teaching textbooks, math 6, right? That's how we know that which lesson it is, and all of that is kind of recorded for us. So I actually fill this part out every year. I don't usually leave it up to my kids, but you could do it either way. All right, page number 4 is the calendar. So once you know what curriculum you're using, the next step is to fill out your homeschool calendar for the year. This is the most important planning step you can take. If you haven't done it for this upcoming school year, take some time and do this. Basically, each month I write in the name of the month and then all the days, and then I have a code. For us, our code is school days, travel days, times that we're having a break, and then days that they go to co-op. That is really important to us because I need to know if I can get all the days that I need in by April, because that's when we finish having school. So I want to look at that and make sure that we kind of generally know when we're going to take breaks and when we're not. Yeah, just to break there for a question I see that popped up. Yes, there is a link for this planner. It is in the comments above. I think it says, grab your copy today or something like that. So click on that and you can check it out online. Okay, so anyway, you notice I tally up each number here to make sure that I know that I've got just the right number of days in the year, okay? Next, page number 4. Bear with me as I fish to find who has page number 4. Oh, it's Luke. That's page number 4. We were on page number 4. Just kidding. Page number 5 is the calendar. Now, in the printed version, now here's the part where I'll tell you, there are 2 different versions. This is the printed softcover version that I'm showing you, but we also offer this in a digital version. And the differences, of course, are this one you get in your hand and your kids get to touch it. The digital version, you can print the pages you want when you want to. It also has the ability for you to fill in stuff online. It's editable, so you can fill in that stuff yourself, and then you just print it as needed. They both have their advantages. People usually say, well, which one do I get? They both have their advantages. They both have their disadvantages. You know, obviously you can't really change much in this, but it's all printed for you. At a cost, it would be way cheaper than printing the digital version. But you can adjust the digital version and you get to keep it for subsequent kids. So if you don't need all the pages, the digital version can be a great resource. So it really depends. You have to kind of weigh out which one best fits your needs. We use this calendar for events, like things that we're doing when we're having school, when we're doing different things. This was Luke's schedule, so you see his chemo is on there, and some of our trips are on there and stuff like that. I have seen a lot of parents have used this for planning purposes, like which books they might be reading or which, different things that they're working on during different times. Whatever you want to use it for is great. It's there to be planning, to help you with your planning. So there's one for every single month in here. And then the next page is the attendance record. We have that one over here. Now, in my state, we are required to take attendance. So we do. And this is how we do it. I love this form because you see the boxes here where you can write the months, and then you just fill it down as you're having school days. We tally it up at the bottom, and then I can count it up. And no, we don't ever have school in quarter 4. It just doesn't happen. We always have a pretty heavy school year. Otherwise, we don't take very many breaks because we finish by the end of April for sure because we're on the road. So that is what it looks like. There is a code that's here. Now in the editable version, you can change this code. On this, you can't. And you can write things like holiday or field trip or sick day. School day, whatever it is that you want to fill out there, you can, or you can just color it in like we do, and that's fine too. So that's the attendance record. The next page is the reading record. This is actually one of our favorite parts because this is where you record what you have read. This is important for keeping track of what you're reading, but also for helping your kids be accountable and all of that stuff. So that's pretty neat to have that. This is my 8th grader's student planner right now. So that's what she has read this year. You can see she's a big Chuck Black fan and also very lazy. She didn't bother to write his name down. And she loves the rating system. You can see she wrote, sorry, it's backwards in the video, that these 2 books deserved 5,000 stars, which I thought was funny. Those are Lamplighter books, in case you're not familiar with them, Ishmael and Self-Raised. So anyway, she's a fan. The next page we'll move to is the assessment graph. Now, the assessment graphs are usually, I get the most questions about how to use the assessment graph. So let me show you. This was for history. So she puts the subject up top and then the school year. And then at the bottom, she puts the quiz number or the chapter number or whatever. And then you just graph up your score. And what's cool to see is you see here she didn't do so hot on that test or quiz. But that's okay because she did really well here and then she improved her grade, and you can kind of see the way that, you know, the trend is going. That's super helpful for catching when your kids, especially in math, are struggling, when they've hit a wall and you're like, uh-oh, we have a problem. You can almost always look back at the assessment graph and see that. So she has one for history, then science. Apparently she got a little more creative with her science colors. And we go on to the second page because we need to for some of these. Algebra, and then whatever subjects are applicable. If you have really young kids, you might not find that you will need to use as many of these, or maybe not any of these. It really depends. Which reminds me, by the way, one question I get a lot is, how old should you be when you start using the student record and planner? And the answer is, it really depends on how you do your homeschool. I like to start my kids in the first grade, not before that. If they're sitting down and doing book type work in the first grade, I'll start them. And the goal there is we will go through the checklist together completely. I pretty much fill it out. They kind of let you know, help. And my goal is to transition them along. But anywhere after first grade all the way up through high school, it's appropriate. So, okay, so we did those graph pages. Now we get to the weekly checklist. Now, I told you I would show you how it is done all across the level. We're going to look at the weekly checklist in all 4 age levels. This one is, again, 8th grade. You see she has written some of the things that she's doing there on the top. That's what we do with that. So this is her co-op. She had piano on Wednesday that she noted. And then she had Hilton Head that weekend. So that's important to us. I like, especially for my older kids, to get an idea what they're doing during the week so they know, oh, I have an orthodontist appointment. I'm going to need to be with it and have everything done by 12 because I have to leave. Or I need to, have lunch at this time, or I need to split up my work, or, whatever they need to do to plan around being out of the house. So to me, that's really important. And then this next section, you see she has it filled out with her subjects that she's doing that particular week. It does vary. It's totally fine. And then she checks it off when she completes it, or she puts like the lesson number, and then she gets a grade. The grade is done either by me, or for her, she's in co-op sometimes for some subjects. And so we use those co-op grades and we just write those down. And then she's completed her chores, checked off the ones that she did, and then did the evaluation. So that is her grade. Let's look at, we'll go backwards and look at Luke now, back down into 2nd grade. And a little bit easier to see because there's more pen. You see the things that he has on his schedule for the week so that he knows what days he's doing what. And then he only has a couple of subjects. And you'll notice like math, it says L5 and he got 100, and then L6 he got a 91. And that's how we note how we did it. And then he's got this bottom part done. Okay, then we have Mr. Nathan. He was in the 5th grade last year. This is what his looks like. Lots going on for him. I picked various weeks. Lots going on this week. But those are his subjects and the things that he wrote down for his. And then habits. And last but not least, we have Rachel. Rachel was in the 7th grade. She writes a lot more than everybody else. So she has all kinds of things on her plan that week. And then her subjects there. And her grades and things. And like, okay, so do you see how she has IEW there and then she has it marked off? Well, she didn't have any IEW assignments that week, so she just didn't put anything in there. And that's totally fine. Sometimes we will just not put IEW down. We'll just skip it, and that's fine too. And then she has her quiet time, or her habits and her evaluation. All right, and then the last 2 pages that are in here are the field trip evaluation form. This is one of our favorite forms. These are at the back, and they just get to write a little bit about the field trip that they're going on, and or that they went on, and how they liked it. They get to rate it and decide, you know, what they liked about it, and then write or draw something they learned from the trip. So that's a great way of just holding them accountable for it, but then also noting this, keeping track of what you've done. And last but not least, in the back, in case you need them, if you don't need them, it's fine. We have progress reports, and we are required to keep these in our state, so that's why we have them. And to me, they're a little on the arbitrary side until you get into high school, but I fill it out anyway. And so that's what this is, and it's all, you just fill in what you want, or if you have the digital version, you could type it if you choose to in the digital version. So that concludes the entire thing. And you can see this is the front of hers. So it survived quite well. They're very dirty, but they survived the year quite well, even though they use them every single day. So this is how we save a lot of time, avoid the teacher planning book, and just motivate my kids to learn and to be independent and to get their day done and all of that stuff. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. I would love to answer them and just talk to you about this, about planning, anything, you know, related to that would be great. And if you want to get a copy, you will find the link at the top. It does say something like grab your copy. And I'm going to stop here for a second because I see a question. Is the progress report the same as a report card? Yes, it's just another word for it. You know, when we were kids, you called it a report card. Now they call it a progress report. I guess because the report card got a bad name or bad stigmatism. I don't know. Anyway, now they call it a progress report, and so it still carries the same thing. It's the same exact thing, but it does show the progress of the student. That's the goal, I guess. Is there a freebie with similar forms? I do not have a freebie with these forms. I do have that one sheet that I mentioned at the beginning that is the All About Me. That is in our free back to school pack. Oh, wow. She wrote lots of things. Look at all her writing. So that is available in there. Some of these kinds of forms you can make yourself if the budget is tight, and, you know, put together yourself, or, you know, maybe just, yeah, draw it out, do something like that. So I hope that helps. Okay. That's all of our questions. So we will end this here. Thanks for watching. And if you have a question after the video, go ahead and drop your comment in. I will answer it in text. And we will see you guys next time.